Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you all to the City of Pittsburgh and our first ever BioEnergy Roundtable. My name is Grant Irvin. I serve as the Sustainability Manager for the City of Pittsburgh in the office of Mayor William Peduto. Today's a real special day for us. We are looking at a grand opportunity to really encourage innovation in the energy sector here in Pittsburgh. Not just for energy's sake, but really thinking in terms of how we can encourage through different systems within the City of Pittsburgh to create a more sustainable city. So we'd like to welcome you and your expertise here to this conversation today. Before I go into any great detail, I'd like to invite Mayor William Peduto up today to give you a little bit of framework with regards to the inspiration behind this event and set us on our course for this afternoon's conversation. Mayor?
Thanks, Grant. First of all, it's great to see so many people in this room and representing so many different parts of the sector of this industry, and a lot of expertise coming both from the university and the corporate side as well. I gave Grant a challenge as the sustainability manager. I asked him to find out what we're doing when it comes to waste and to study it from three critical points: effectiveness, efficiency, and equity. You know, is it being done the best way possible? Are we utilizing the resources in a manner which is harnessing the best and the most from it? And is it being done equally for all neighborhoods? I think we have a great opportunity to improve on all three areas. I'm looking at this from a standpoint of how we collect it. Are we collecting it in the best way? I get asked often, why don't we recycle every week? Can we recycle every week? We know that for every pound of recycling waste that we collect, that we make money from it, and from every pound of recycling waste that we take to a landfill, we have to pay for it. How can we get greater amounts of recycled materials and get communities more involved into it? And it's just from the basic standpoint of how we're collecting it. Is it the most efficient route, and are there ways to be able to improve upon it? The delivery of it, once it's in the trucks, are we doing it in the most effective way? As we go out to Delmont and we go out to Monroeville, is it the most effective way? Could we create transfer stations? Can we create other opportunities? And then finally, with the last part of it, what are we doing with it? We're putting it in the ground and then burying it. Are there other ways that we might be able to capitalize off of this? And if so, what are they? What are the latest technologies? What are the most environmental friendly ways in order to be able to do this, so that when we create our sustainability models for this city, we know that when it comes to waste, we're already hitting the highest level. And there's a whole world and a whole industry, $1 trillion industry, that studies this. What we wanted to do is bring it together in one room and then start to be able to understand how the City of Pittsburgh can do it better. So looking forward to enjoying that little bit of coffee, sitting and listening, and learning a lot about what you do and how we can do it better.
Thank you. Thanks, Mayor. We would greatly appreciate your leadership and your guidance on this issue. As the mayor said, this is really critical to the city's sustainability. We have an opportunity to lay a foundation through the mayor's leadership and through the time and talent that you all bring to the table to chart a new and innovative course for the City of Pittsburgh. With the mayor's challenge, what we've been able to do today is pull together a very esteemed group of talented individuals and firms, ranging from our university sector, private industry, research and development capacity, and local government. And what that conversation will bring for us today is an opportunity to blend the best and the brightest in the world of energy from waste. So just to give you a little bit of guidance in terms of the conversation and what to anticipate here today is basically we've pulled together 4 presentations to set the course, to give us a little bit of food for thought. And then we're going to engage into a facilitated dialogue where you can bring your expertise to the conversation. Our key in this is to create some outcomes, to identify opportunities here within the City of Pittsburgh, like the mayor said, that begin in our neighborhoods, at the curbside, and how we can take that through the transportation component, and then think in terms of the reuse of materials that we're currently putting into a landfill. How can we rethink this waste cycle to be a more productive, more sustainable, and more positive use? So what we've brought forth today is several great individuals and firms here that we've been able to cultivate in some quick research, and it's by no means exhaustive. There's plenty of opportunity out there. But in our travels, in our research, we've brought together today 4 individuals who are going to help us catalyze that conversation. Dustin D. Penfilis from Rarick Pacific Environment is going to start at the curbside. Dustin's going to give us a little bit of insights with regards to containerized systems, what's possible, and some new and innovative things that are occurring in the waste management industry. Next then is going to be Jay Dar from SDL Citadel, comes to us, Pittsburgher, but comes to us from Texas, to talk a little bit about some of the technology that SDL Citadel is bringing to the table with regards to compact energy from waste systems. Then we'll have Mel Kurtz from Quasar Energy. Quasar is a leader in Northeast Ohio and in the waste to energy or energy from waste sector with regards to not just the technology, but really with regards to bringing together collaboration and partnerships. And then Björgvin Serverson from the Akala Group in Minneapolis is going to talk with us a little bit about some of the applications at the neighborhood level. So really thinking in terms from the curbside to the technology, all the way to what can happen in terms of the transformation that we can see in our neighborhoods here in Pittsburgh. And then all of you around the table here will have the opportunity to provide your insights. We have 3 key things that we'll kick off just to give you a preview following the presentations, is a couple of conversations. One around collection and transport. The second will be around community and economic development benefit. So not just about the community side of it, but what are the economic opportunities that we might be able to create here in Pittsburgh. And then finally, let's focus in on some opportunities for the City of Pittsburgh with regards to the bioenergy sector and what we might be able to create. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our first presenter, Dustin D. Penfilis from Rarick Pacific.
Walk over here to be able to move the screen. So, well, first of all, I'd like to thank Mayor Peduto, Grant, and Claire and staff for having me here today. It's an honor to be here and certainly excited to talk to you a little bit about Rarick Pacific and what we do. Before we get into that, though, I thought it'd be good for everybody to know that I actually live in the city of Baltimore, Maryland, and I know how that can be, considering our competitive rivalries, but I did grow up in Western Pennsylvania, so I am a huge Steelers fan, and I just wanted to avoid any dirty looks while I do my presentation. So I met Grant out at the MWMA conference in San Diego, and he asked me to come and talk a little bit about who we are, what we do, our experience, and how maybe we can help here at the City of Pittsburgh. So who we are, Rarick Pacific's a company that's been in business for 101 years. We're a family-owned business. We operate in multiple industries. The supply chain solutions business, helping a lot of the major CPG companies get their products to the stores. We're a leader in the environmental space, dealing with solid waste and recycling initiatives. A lot of what we do is provide sustainable and renewable packaging for our customers and turnkey solutions. And today we have over 30 million recycling containers on the street in over thousands of communities throughout North America. As you can see by our footprint, we've got 7 manufacturing facilities and 12 service locations in the U.S., closest being here in Erie, Pennsylvania, just up the road. So what do? We provide comprehensive solutions that optimize our customers' business operations. That's everything from the curbside collection containers used in residential and commercial applications for a number of streams, solid waste, recycling, organics, yard waste. We have a whole line of sophisticated technology and services that help our customers to deploy and implement these projects, but also to track their progress over time. I'm not going to get into a lot of those details because I think we want to get into more about what we've learned. What we've learned is that if you remove the confusion, frustration, and complexity of a program, people will do it. If you look at some of the key components that we have here in terms of what actually contributes to a successful recycling program, things like consistency, collection frequencies, making sure that people know when their container is going to be picked up. Make it very clear as part of your education plan. If you can do it weekly, you'll see benefits. If it's every other week, let's keep it on the same day every other week. Convenience is probably the most important. Convenience really comes down to having a place to put your material. It's not asking the residents to do more to recycle. It's making it easy for them and keeping it user-friendly. So what you can see is, in a lot of the programs, if you have like an 18-gallon recycling bin, they run out of space, the rest of that material goes in the trash. You ask them to put it in a bag, they put it in the bag, they run out of bags, the rest of the material goes in the trash. So these are the things that happen over and over again, and I'll show you some results from programs that have gone to larger containers for curbside recycling, what those results look like. Education. Education is extremely important on the front end, it's also important on the back end. You need to continually educate. Changes in program, materials that you're collecting or whatever it might be, your different messaging. We have ways to engage the consumer through technology on our products, allow them to interact with a container, bring them to sites, give them graphics on the container that tells them what goes in the bin, when it goes in it. And also our technology allows us to track who's participating in programs and who isn't. And it'll allow you to target your education efforts towards the lower participating neighborhoods and constantly driving your recycling over time. So here's some results. I took 4 programs here, and most of these programs all had a curbside recycling bin. So they had an established curbside program similar to what we have in the City of Pittsburgh. They then went to larger 65 or 95 gallon roll-out containers at the curb, and the tonnage increases that you'll see by going from a bin to a cart for Miami-Dade County, Florida, 99% increase in tonnage. 68% for Colorado, for Denver, 54% for Frederick County. And in a pilot program we did, we took a sampling in 10,000 homes down in the city of Atlanta. They increased by 77%. That pilot program actually led them to then go citywide with curbside recycling program. And we'll get back to that in a minute. Some of the other things, in an article that was posted by Madison, Wisconsin, they also saw significant increases in their tonnage, but they also pointed out things such as the reduction in greenhouse gases. And it was equivalent to removing 8,700 cars from the road. They also have reduced the amount of waste going in their landfill by 12%, so overall extended the life of the landfill. And total savings, when you look at collection operations and becoming more efficient, there's several options out there. There's workman's comp savings. There's no more manual collection at the curb, which can result in injury. So what do we do? What areas would we evaluate for the City of Pittsburgh? Similar areas. You look at how does the increase in material tonnage that we could get from a containerized program build additional revenue from your MRF? Every ton we divert, that's one less disposal cost that you have to pay. And those numbers can be staggering depending on the financials here in the City of Pittsburgh. Lower operational and transport costs to landfill. So I understand there's 2 landfills in the city, and they're pretty far apart from each other, but we have a MRF that's close by. So for every 10 tons that you divert from the landfill to a MRF, that's one less trip that you're going to make to the landfill. So you're going to see some transportation cost savings. Decrease in workman's comp cases. What are they today? Where are they coming from? How many are actually related to the collection of curbside recycling in bags? We can prevent that. Containerized program will prevent anything from protruding out, cutting or hitting your drivers. It'll also easily lift itself and reduce liabilities in the future. Operational efficiencies, there's various collection equipment out there that you can utilize, all of which can have a different impact on operational efficiencies. It's something we need to look at. And then finally we can look at extending the life of the landfill. What does that mean for the City of Pittsburgh, and is it something we want to pursue further? So those are the areas I would say to consider as you look at a program, but then you would want to take another analysis and look at what are the financials for the city and does it make sense. So we put it on paper, and then the logical next step could be a pilot program. So you've got a pilot program which then validates what we actually estimated in our numbers, and then similar to the City of Atlanta has prompted them to move forward with a citywide program. So a couple things as you look at putting a program together. One would be procurement, right? So how do we buy the containers, maybe through a procurement process? In that area, the state of Pennsylvania has a CoStarz contract. It's a cooperative purchasing contract. A lot of containers and this type of technology is on there and can be procured off of that contract. And then more importantly, the question is funding. So how do you fund a program? I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Closed Loop Fund. They started marketing themselves here recently. The Closed Loop Fund is a fund that was actually backed by Walmart and founded by Ron Gonen. Ron was a founder of Recycle Bank. He also was a deputy commissioner of the City of New York. He implemented the City of New York's curbside organics program. People consider him a recycling guru. So Ron and Walmart got together, and they're trying to create a way to build up the availability of recycled material, because Walmart would like, for a lot of the CPG companies that work for Walmart today, to increase the amount of recycled material that they put in their products. But the challenge is that the availability of material isn't there. So what do? They created a closed loop fund. A lot of the CPG companies invested in this fund. It's a $100 million fund today. And what they're doing is they are actually giving zero interest loans to cities to build out infrastructure. That infrastructure is in containers, it's in collection vehicles, it's in MRFs and processing. And really the liability is to just return the principal of the loan over a certain period of time that you negotiate. The benefit to the people that are as part of the fund and providing the money is the increase in availability of material that then they will have access to put into their products, which is actually very similar of how we operate. So Rarick Pacific today, we process 55 million pounds of post-consumer recycled material that is, a lot of it is collected from curbside recycling programs to reuse it in our products. And so, we have a facility in Erie, Pennsylvania, and we could easily capture material from the local MRFs here, the HDPE we need, reproduce it into our products, and then reuse it. So it's a complete closed loop system, and that's what the closed loop fund is trying to do, is build up the infrastructure so we can all have availability of more material that's valuable to a lot of our companies here that manufacture not only in the US, but here even in the state of Pennsylvania. And so with that, Rarick Pacific would love to further discussion on how we can work with the City of Pittsburgh and close the loop. Thank you. Do you want to do the same thing?
All right. Good afternoon. Mayor, thank you for having this. I think it's very interesting and coming back to Pittsburgh. It's heartwarming to see that something is progressing along the renewable energy track. And I commend you and your staff for your efforts. My name is Jay Dar. I'm President and CEO of SDL Citadel. Quite simply, renewable energy made simple. I want to show you a quick video here.
SDL is the smart and flexible clean energy alternative. Renewable energy made simple. One of our patented systems can provide power for 740 homes. The SDL EP system is portable, modular, and scalable. We can handle everything from setup to support. An SDL system is profitable, convenient, and flexible. Our patented 4-step process collects and diverts streams of non-hazardous biomass waste, converts diverted waste into engineered fuel, which is converted into clean gas, used to generate clean, low-cost heat and electricity. Electricity that can meet the needs of crucial infrastructure, government defense, industrial, commercial, island or remote locations, and utilities. SDL, alternative energy, has never been cleaner.
With that, we already talked about some of the challenges that we're facing. We're looking at the cost of energy itself as well as waste. We have to try to extend the lives of the landfills, and how do we do that? Dustin mentioned some using the recycled products and using the recycling of the products, as well as some of the recycling residuals that we use that are destined for the landfill, so we become a zero waste city. So with that, SDL, our systems can power up to 740 homes off of 40 tons of waste. That's equivalent to 1 megawatt of power. What that means is, as the video mentioned, one, we can provide 24/7 power to critical infrastructure, government facilities, commercial and mixed-use developments, in remote locations, and to utilities, just to name a few. This allows us, unlike some of our, what I like to call renewable energy cousins, such as solar and wind, we're able to operate 24/7. However, we like solar and wind because they can augment some of the processes that we have during our maintenance times. So we like to look at this as a hybrid approach. And what I'd like to focus on this slide is particularly looking at what we do as far as waste diversion and linking it back to what Dustin is doing as far as looking at the containers and recycling in the communities. We're not here, you know, you may hear that sometimes with waste management or allied and the like, we're not here to take their waste. We're here to decrease the amount of waste that's going to landfill. So we like to augment their process and divert some of that waste that is destined for the landfill that we can utilize in our process in order to generate electricity for the community. What are some of the advantages? The big advantages for us are, one, the payback is within 5 years. So one of our systems, under 5 years, depending on location, the utility costs, you can see your returns within 5 years. The other thing in our industry, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, is that not a lot of systems are operational. So we invite you, as you saw in the video, to come and kick the tires or see a live feed of our system in operation. Additionally, safety and security are important. We back our systems with performance guarantees, comprehensive training for staff, as well as provide the simple, low-cost, clean energy and efficiency. The STL advantage is this. We can place a system anywhere in the city, whether it's on a 53-foot trailer or on a 5,600 square foot pad, and be able to power the entire community with one simple system. Key questions. Is it harmful to the environment? No, it's not. We only have 2 emissions points in our system. One is the flare stack itself, which is enclosed, and also we capture heat off of that flare stack. The second emission point is from the generation equipment. So we either meet or exceed environmental standards. Additionally, we don't use chemicals. No chemicals are used in our process. We don't even use water in our process to clean or scrub the gas. So we have a dry system, a closed loop system. Location, again, is simple. Modular and portable, we can go anywhere. 740 homes we can power. And again, we look at this in terms of a AA battery model approach. We can daisy chain our systems together to produce more power. The reliability of our systems, because we're here in the United States, so you can actually come see it and kick the tires. Potential application. We had a meeting at the Energy Innovation Center this morning. One thing that we proposed was to bring one of our EP systems to Pittsburgh and our 53-foot trailer, and actually create a sustainable urban food production, meaning this is the story. Having waste, that recycling or the residual waste that we have, we will then insert into our system. That power be used in a sustainable environment, either through a grow container or in a factory type of situation. You can see actual plants growing there using our energy and producing food for the community. So we look forward to working with the City of Pittsburgh and our other colleagues that are in the room in order to make this happen.
Thank you.
Hi, Mel Kurtz, Quasar Energy Group. We're a Cleveland-based company. Sam Rutigliano is a good friend of mine, and he told me, Mayor, how to get in and out of Pittsburgh safely. But the team was in Cincinnati last night, so I'm on my own.
You guys did us a nice big favor last night, so just tell them I said
I'll tell them that. Mayor, thank you. Grant, Claire, this is awesome. It'd be important for every major city to conduct the same activities because the benefits are really unilateral. And your example hopefully will lead to replicating the process. Quasar is an anaerobic digester company. We started 6 years ago with 4 people. We have 127 now. We have airspace capacity in our digesters to process 700,000 tons. We have 18 facilities operating in the U.S. right now. In Ohio, we're processing sludge from about 40 different municipalities, sewage sludge, from about 40 municipalities, including City of Columbus, City of Cleveland. We're back up for City of Toledo, Dayton, and a whole host of smaller communities. We've processed the City of Akron's material for the last 27 years. It used to be an in-vessel compost plant, but now it's a 100% anaerobic digestion facility where we used to buy $1 million worth of electric annually. Now we export $2 million. It's a big deal. We've got a lot of collaboration with Ohio State University, and where we have our lab and a BioOhio research park where we built our second digester. We do industrial, agricultural, and municipal facilities. And probably the best part of what we do is that it's less expensive. It's cleaner air, soil, and water, the result. And what we end up doing is taking advantage of what you wanted, Mayor, the most efficient transportation system that exists in the municipality, sewer, and the energy, gas pipelines. So if we can macerate the food at residential or commercial and put it down the drain, it's great for us. If not, we'd have a collection alternative, and it still would go to a digester where, of course, it has a higher calorific count and value, and we'd have more energy captured and converted because of it. The bugs take the organic fraction, just like our body does, converts it to energy, and occasionally there's a slip up with that energy that's created, the methane. Nobody thought that was funny. But we then upgrade that methane, biogas is what it's referred to biomethane with a partnership we have with Air Products. The material then becomes biomethane. Now we have a high value methane content that we then sell as motor vehicle fuel. So at one of these facilities, in fact, at Alcosan, with the numbers we calculated, we would produce 4 million gallons of motor vehicle fuel from the sludge that's presently going to the facility anyway, and we'd produce approximately 4.5 megawatts of electricity from the material that's going to Alcosan. We've had the problem with Northeast Ohio Regional as well. We're their backup plan. 150,000 tons of biosolids, instead of them incinerating it, could go through our digester. From them, we'd make 3.5 million gallons of motor vehicle fuel instead of buying energy, natural gas, to burn energy in their incinerators. A $260 million bad experiment that they're conducting right now. There's all kinds of benefits. Ohio is #1 in fine particle air pollution. It's not necessary. It's a better alternative, and it's less expensive. The $260 million was instead of a $43 million private investment by our company to do it instead. Here's an example of a small wastewater treatment plant. It's small. It's only a 6 million MGD plant. Here's their bill last year before we took over for electric in August. Here's their bill this year. $31,000 last August, $315 this August. And it would have been zero, but we had to change the oil in our generator. Oh, we're not doing this. I wish I had your second slide right now. That's a partnership for food waste with InSinkErator. InSinkErator is a division of Emerson Electric. It's good to have friends in high places. It's a $25 billion company. InSinkErator has 95% of the garbage disposal market in the United States, and they went to a bigger disposal for commercial industrial applications. They call it Grind to Energy. Here's some of the partners that we have. USDA, Emerson, InSinkErator, Ohio State, and a large real estate company, Forest City Enterprises. The reason that's important is because everything that we build now is made in America, 100% American made. And this is a small facility that we retrofit. It was a public-private partnership with the City of Worcester, Ohio. The engineering firm said 18 months and $13 million. We did it in 14 weeks for $7.5 million. Well, it's a real success story. That facility, City of Worcester, Ohio, is saving about $900,000 a year in operating expenses right now. Hey, really, thank you for inviting us, and thanks for making this event possible. You bet. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Björgvin Sævarsson. I am a founder and CEO of the Kala Group. Mayor, thank you for the invitation. Grant, appreciate being here. For someone who's a bit of a history, I appreciate history. It's really nice to be here for the first time. I have a bit of an accent. Grew up in Iceland and moved about 16 years ago to Minneapolis and traveled the country all over the place. Learned a lot of strange things when I came here first. 60% of our drinking water polluted. 4 or 5 years later, it was 70%. Then we stopped measuring it. Why are we doing that? I didn't think any more about it at the time, but figured that there are ways to do better. One of the first things I learned coming to America was we have organization, we have a system. There's a lot of police here. There's also religion. There's something that keeps this whole country together, and there's a good ethics in general. It's like, man, we have system coming from a European country. That's technically I grew up on the American plate where the European and American tectonic plates meet. You realize we have something in America, and it's a system, organization. We can get stuff done if we want to. And I think that's a little bit about what I'm going to present today. And being in Pittsburgh, we got a lot of the ingredients for a lot of what the world was built on. Maybe this is a good place to start a new economy. And let's see if this. Just to put things into perspective, you're going to hear a couple of times in my presentation the word restorative. Restorative is really the net positive space that you've probably been hearing more and more about. And to put that into perspective, there's a kind of a race in the world right now to zero. That's sustainability. If I'm running a business, I don't want my business to be at zero. Mayor, I don't think you want your city to be at zero. It means really, green means different things to all of us. That's why green doesn't make sense. That's why there is greenwashing, there is confusion. Sustainability is zero. There's no doubt about what sustainability is. It's not good, it's not bad, it's maintaining. But we do have broken social systems, we have broken environment, we have costs related to it. That's our economy. So we have a pit hole, throwing money down it all the time. But still, we're in America, and we have a solution. We know how to do it when we decide on something. And here is an example of a conventional city. This we just did for the city of Paris a few weeks ago. And this is a typical city where we're transporting waste out of the city to landfills. Water is sent in massive pipes, expensive system that needs to be upgraded every so often, at a huge cost to very expensive processing facilities. This is a process, not technology, very expensive process. This water is treated with chemicals. Some of that chemical will linger, and that's our potable water. Agriculture, we buy most of our food from a faraway source. Billions and billions and billions of dollars leave our economy every year buying energy. And I want to show you then the solution that we promote is integrated utility systems that combine all of these systems into one. So this is integration. So we have energy, waste, water, IT. Don't forget IT. We don't have economic growth without IT. And I'm talking about 1,000 times faster than what we have today. So we integrate this into our facilities. So this is IUS, stands for Integrated Utility System. This system takes about 8 acres of land, so this is built for urban spaces. And so each individual system can operate as an island, but it's not designed to do that. It's designed to connect with the world. And when we have a regional approach, like we have here in Pittsburgh, which is rather unique, then these systems will talk to each other and affect the rest of the region in a very positive way. Here's a schematic design of a single system. It integrates the water through an anaerobic digestion at the district level. So no water leaves the district. Even rainwater, we can take the stormwater into a single stream with any other water at the district level. This is 100% closed loop system. And so we have complete water resilience. There are other, the energy is created through anaerobic digestion, massive energy creation at the district level. And just to show you a little bit what it looks like from the outside is a greenhouse. So the utility is gone. Our image of what a utility system is gone. The city of the future, the utility system, I'm talking about the infrastructure. is designed so you don't notice it. It's like the referee on the field that you don't notice there. We have a perfect game. And here the utility is actually underground. If we aspire to build something that's more, we want to attract talent and people and business from the globe, maybe I would show you a 30-story building with an iconic building that the city would be famous for. And an idea of the output, one facility like this creates 1 million pounds of fish in a year, 4 million heads of lettuce, 400,000 pounds of herbs, microalgae, other energy products come in here. So this is a perfect opportunity to connect with universities, the school districts. There are a lot of children who don't eat every day. They probably get poor scores at school. Maybe food will help bring those scores up. Maybe we can grow some more talent in the city. So this is infrastructure that is not just meant to be a technological system, but it's also meant to bring the highest level of social well-being as an infrastructure can provide. And we often get carried away with what infrastructure is supposed to do. It's supposed to support a flourishing economy and flourishing social systems, because if we don't, we have a lousy economy. It's just plain and simple, it's volatile. Here is a specific example of a project we did earlier this year in Minneapolis. This is the actual district. It's close proximity to downtown, about 80 acres of land, so not a lot of land. $1 billion development. They had a light rail coming through, which birthed the idea of this development. The way we came to it was they had a plan, a green plan, and they knew that we were kind of, relentless. We don't settle for average or second best. Minnesotans are not very good at leading. They're very happy at being number 4. Everything. So there's a bit of a challenge there, but we were asked to critique their plan. We did so, and we gave them a report which didn't just say what they had done wrong. It was just more about what do we have and how can we reach a higher goal? What's the top of our vision? Can we actually achieve it? Turned out we could do even better than that. And so we were retained and to develop a plan for the city of Minneapolis and now other cities out there, and the watershed management as well, to bring Minneapolis to a restorative level over time. So this includes that regional approach and resilience. A little diagram here, some of the key technologies that we recommended in our system. So this is again the greenhouse that you see with the utilities on the ground. The feature here is a waste collection system that's underground, so there are no garbage trucks visible. The city of the future will certainly have this. This is important, for example, in the coastal cities and wherever you have flood issues, pests and rodents and other things that we get rid of. While the northern states, they appreciate the snow melt systems. I don't think we have a huge problem. I think it's like Iceland here, huh? A little sleet and fun. Very important thing. To some people think I'm crazy, but hydrogen, if we don't learn about hydrogen and get on top of it, we're gonna come behind other people. California, of course, is the best example in the US, but certainly Europe, Japan, anywhere where they have energy issues, but this is coming. The first mass-produced hydrogen cars are coming to market this fall. So this is just a way to emissions-free infrastructure. May I tease you a little bit?
I'm sorry?
May I tease you a little bit?
Please do.
Yeah, I know you. So, yeah, I will. Sewer. Yeah, I hear that. Guten Tag.
Yeah, danke schön.
We are processing water. We're going to turn sewer and stormwater into very pure potable water, ultra pure, absolutely chemical free. This water, with a renewable energy grid, we're going to use our renewable energy grid to convert this water we turn from sewer at night into hydrogen. Is anybody with me that we have free energy in the morning? Okay, we get the bus operators or truck companies, and we give them hydrogen, and we connect them with cooperative agreements in Europe or in the US for cheap buses. And so this is absolutely doable. We can start with 3 buses year 1, 6 year 2, 10 after that, and in 10, 20 years, we have our entire fleet emissions free on free energy. Little teaser, but absolutely doable. At last, kind of the conclusion is we are tackling environmental systems, social systems, and our economy in a single swipe. And when we have an alignment, and it's a thought-through process, which we all participate in, we have some sort of an identity that comes out of it. Today, every city has an identity, but we're not thinking about aligning these. So when we seek the alignment, and it's a process that we go through, we're going to have a really strong identity. And this is what attracts people and talent, business, and economy, not from Cleveland or New York or LA. It's going to come from Hong Kong. It's going to come from France. It's going to come from anywhere else in the world. It's about competitiveness, eventually. And you have to see my name to believe it, I think. But thank you very much. Good to be here.
Sure, we can do that. I'd like to thank all our speakers. Just to give a flavor of who all is in the room, we have our speakers have introduced themselves. I'm going to go with Ronaldo here. Just go around and tell your name, company, just to get a sense of the flavor of who's participating today.
I'm Renato Contepelli. I'm manager of municipal development for Quasar, and I am a Steelers fan when they're not playing the Browns because Big Ben is my fantasy quarterback.
Peter Greninger, and I'm an independent consultant working with the Future Farm Institute.
My name is Doug Jackson. I'm the Director of Operations and Maintenance at the Allegheny County Sanitary Authority at El Casan.
I'm Willie Dillard, also from Pittsburgh. I'm with SDL Citadel out of Dallas, Texas.
Justin Stockdale from the Pennsylvania Resources Council.
Chris Hubbard with Hubert Technology.
Thomas Vogt, working with Volker Hartkopf.
I'm Mike Myhook with a software company. I live in Pittsburgh, and I donate software to people like Volker.
Well, thank you. I'm the director of the Center for Building Performance at Carnegie Mellon University, and I'll talk more about it. But I'm very pleased that you say what you said, because he was actually the director of the fuel cell development in Pittsburgh, Westinghouse and Siemens.
Patricia DeMarco. I am a visiting researcher and writer with the Green Sciences Institute at Carnegie Mellon, energy and environmental policy analyst since 1977.
Scott Dellinger with Waste Management.
Also with Waste Management, Lisa McKnight.
And Michael Christ, Waste Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Grant. Kathy Rabowski, Sustainability Manager for Allegheny County.
Hi, I'm Pat Irvin. I'm Grant's brother, just here observing.
Christoph Churchward, Conservation Consultant.
Jerry Paytas, Fourth Economy Consulting.
Molly Brennan, I'm a grad student at Carnegie Mellon.
Lee Haller, I'm with Pittsburgh Public Works.
Bill Klumovich, Pittsburgh Public Works, Environmental Services.
And last but not least, Sean Weigel with Environmental Services.
And I designed that perfectly, actually, because I want to start with you guys. Just to kick off the conversation here today, first of all, I'd like to thank all of our presenters. Maybe just another round of applause. And I really like to personally thank you guys, because you served it up well in terms of providing an opportunity for us to digest what is possible. And also, I think personally, you know, Björgvin, I might need a title change now. Instead of a sustainability manager, I might have to be the restorative manager or something. That might be a big challenge, but really I appreciate that, because it gives us a sense in terms of what is possible and what we can accomplish here in the city of Pittsburgh. With that in mind, I'd like maybe Sean Weigel and Bill Klimovich from the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services. The city has made a lot of great strides in recent years with regards to some of the work that we've done with recovery, thanks in part to partnerships with Waste Management, but also for a lot of the hands-on work that occurs in Public Works. Bill and Sean, maybe if you can give folks a sense of the flavor in terms of how we've been able to increase the amount of recycling that we've had, as well as some of the work that you guys do in environmental services.
Mayor, first of all, thank you. I've been with the city 39 years, and I remember the day when no one wanted to talk about garbage, let alone recycling, so look how far we've come. And it's very important. At environmental services, we have a motto down there, we just love picking up the garbage. And if you don't know, it's the 4th most dangerous job in the country, picking up garbage. The city of Pittsburgh is a unique city to collect refuse and recycling from. Our operation has 34 refuse routes that we collect every week from residents. We will collect almost everything from the resident, 2 bulk items every week. As long as it's not going to hurt our workers or injure our workers or hurt that truck, most likely it's going in the truck. We also collect refuse from the borough of Wilkinsburg. That agreement started a few years ago. We have 2 routes out there, 3 individuals on that, 6 individuals, 2 routes out there. We do not handle the recycling for the borough. They handle that for themselves. Our recycling program, it consists of a blue bag system that we offer to residents every other week. That is taken to a transfer station, Green Star Waste Management, these folks over here. Our refuse is taken to 2 landfills. We have 4 divisions, a central and eastern, and a northern and southern, and our, depending upon what location is where we're going to take that refuse. We handle about 400 tons of refuse a day. Our recycling program is a single bag recycling program. And I'll let Sean talk about that. I'm always interfering with him, so I'll let him discuss a little bit about recycling. But that's a quick overview of what we do. So thanks very much.
Great, thank you, Bill. We've been recycling in the city for an awful long time. We've had a lot of changes to the program over the years. One of the biggest and best for the program recent years, in 2008, we changed to the single stream program. The huge benefit for us, we've actually doubled tonnage since then. We were only about 8,000 tons a year before we started. We're well over 16,000 ton at the curb now. Just the simplicity of the program, making it easier on our residents. It's improved the program. We're over 70% participation in the program now. So we're looking forward with our new contract with Waste Management to continue making those improvements to the program. There's lots of opportunity out there with the city to increase composting, recycling, waste diversion, you name it. So it's a good time.
Great, thank you. So we wanted to give that perspective, and I think it's really important because we have made a lot of great strides, but we have a long way to go, and we recognize that. You know, first thought, I guess, maybe for Dustin, you know, collection and transport. I mean, some of the opportunities, where do you see, and others in the room, this is the time, you know, we really want to kind of gain your perspective and questions you might have for either for speakers or insights that you would like to share. You know, a good place to start with regards to improving collection opportunities, you know, the curbside opportunity, containerizing, any thoughts you might have there?
There's also going to be opportunities to create collection efficiencies. There's different various collection vehicles that are out there, which will allow you to become either more efficient, you know, in one part of the area of the city versus another. But there's several options that are open to the city, and I think it just depends on the actual geographic area and what you're looking to achieve. But there's a lot of opportunities there.
I like what you said in your presentation.
We're going to make sure we use the microphone.
I think what's very important, what you said in your presentation, was education. I'm although like Volker from Germany. We had our kids 20 years ago, nah?
30 and 40.
Okay, so, but what is important that they understand not all is waste what you put away. So it's money, it's energy, it's a lot of this. And I think that's where we really should start. That you know that this is not waste, it's treasure. And this waste maybe is the wrong word in the future. So we should maybe think about this if we are doing something about education.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I want to build on this, but you had something to say right away. Please do.
Yeah, I think that, Dustin, your perspective, Pennsylvania Resources Council firmly believes, and we've seen this nationwide, your company has seen it nationwide, you move to containerized systems, you increase participation, you increase total diversion overall. The other point here is that waste is a resource. This is not something that, it doesn't belong in a landfill. It belongs in reproduction, remanufacturing, that produces economies not just in getting it off the curb, it's economies throughout the system. It's, a landfill is a dead-end process. It's in the hole, there it lies. Recycling allows you to turn revenues and resources out of that material over and over and over again in some cases. And so I think Pittsburgh, this is a great opportunity for Pittsburgh to really step out and move down this path on any of these fronts. It's not just about recycling, which is my specialty. There are opportunities in wastewater and a variety of management methods that, again, I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to be here.
And if you have questions, just raise your hand and then we'll make sure that we...
So I'm focused on buildings. And in New York, 7 million tons of construction waste a year. And 80 to 90%, depending on where are, sometimes 95% of the building construction goes on in retrofitting existing buildings. That's the United States. And when I lecture next week in China, they're now asking about what we do in the United States about existing buildings rather than new infrastructure and new high-rise buildings and so on. So buildings are extraordinarily important. And unfortunately, and my data knows this, we do not consider waste in making aluminum, waste in making steel, waste in making concrete, waste in doing glass and other kinds of things. But there are companies that we have right here in Pittsburgh, Alcoa, PPG, and many others that are focused on this opportunity now, okay? And we can eliminate, when we did the Intelligent Workplace, we had no waste in construction, no waste in 16 years of distributing people and equipment because it's modular, prefabricated, and we had very great gifts from companies that were making this a possibility. So I think in Pittsburgh, with the mayor's objectives and goals, and with also Fitzgerald in the county, we have now an opportunity to be a living laboratory city for these systems. And what these contributions are that you already made are extremely important. And for instance, I'd be happy to share sometime, it's not our work, but Hammarby in Sweden, the community, they have a very interesting collection process. No trucks anymore. It goes through pipes, and then it goes, this is for the plastic, this is for the glass, this is for the aluminum and for metal and so on. And then they have it separated. And they have eliminated first waste, then they have reduced waste, and then they recycle, that's the third point. And the fifth point is to make it possible to make energy from it, okay? And they have done this in Hammarby and in Stockholm, Sweden, in a way that is absolutely world-leading, right? And when we were having an opportunity to see things, how they related to rural areas, to town areas, and how it relates to human performance and the behavior. These are extraordinarily important issues, and I'm really looking forward to helping the city to make these interconnection opportunities possible.
Thank you. I'm very interested to see the integration of problems as a way of finding a new solution. Because if you take all these problems one by one, you don't come up with anything nearly as creative as we've heard. But one thing, when you're looking at the collection process, I think you have to start at reducing the amount of throwaway stuff that we generate. And for example, an easy grab is the plastic bag. Everybody who goes shopping, whether they're buying a stick of gum or a whole bag of groceries, gets an infinite number of plastic bags. Useful life, 12 minutes. And it stays in the landfill for 100 years. We can start by doing simple things that help increase people's awareness. If we say, everybody has a little bag that you carry around and you use for your day-to-day purchases. The Pittsburgh bag, you know, just like we have the terrible towel, let's have a Pittsburgh bag that you carry around with you. It's what you carry with you. And I have several, and I'm not going to rummage around to get them. But we can start by getting the consciousness to reduce the waste stream to begin with, because we should not be making things just to throw them away. And also the amount of packaging that goes into your average food product is just unbelievable. You have a box with a wrapped container, and we can reduce our whole waste stream if we are conscious about it. You can carry something around this like this. It'll take care of all of your everyday purchases on a regular basis. And they're, brandable for the city as a way of education and awareness.
Maybe quickly, Scott or Lisa or Michael, from your perspective, collection, transport, this is kind of your world. Can you offer some thoughts in terms of improvements that could be made or suggestions you might offer?
I want to lend a comment to actually that complements what you were saying too in the world of packaging. I just did a presentation a couple weeks ago in Ohio for the AOR and SWANA conference, and one of the topics that came up was new packaging for some of our products in the grocery stores. And one of the things that they all have in common, all these new wonderful inventions, is that none of them are recoverable through our recycling plants. Foil bags, little pouches, things of that nature that we can't recover and we can't pull from the stream. They're wonderful inventions. They reduce the weight of the material. They're easy packaging product, but they're not, there's no consideration given when they invent these as to whether or not we're able to recover that and reuse that resource. So some more energy needs to be applied to, what material we can actually recover and understanding what it is that we can reuse. If we start paying a little bit of attention to that, I think you're going to see a little bit of a change as well, even in the technology that goes into our MRFs.
Go ahead. For the collection, as it's been stated before, we recently entered into a partnership to accept the recycling here from the City of Pittsburgh, and somewhat towards the plastic bags, the recycling program that is currently in place in the City of Pittsburgh does pose a problem for our facility. It's very difficult to utilize a closed bag process. So speaking of a cart deployment, and especially a pilot that could certainly take place, could go a very long way for the City of Pittsburgh. Add to that?
Do you have something, Mike or Thomas? Or Mike?
Thank you. First, I'd like to, that was great presentations. You stimulated all my thinking. This is really well done. And as I read through the agenda, the first word I wrote in my notebook is digesters. My entire career, I work in processes. You name a process, I worked in it. Mel, I think you hit a really great note there, basically. So picture a collection of digesters areas throughout the city. So now you're collecting the wastewater, you're collecting ground up food and things like that. And what you commented, we should work together on multiple things. I see those as holding spots for waste and wastewater, which will help Alcosan on a flood and things like that. So now you can process it, you can clean it up, but you can also slow it down so when the rains come down, you're not going to flood Alcosan. And then locally, you're going to use that same product that you get for energy instead of taking it into one central place. Like to doing small little packages is great. And I think what you can do really complements a lot of the other guys. I thought it was really tremendous.
You're my favorite.
I can be bought.
Sure. One other waste stream I'd like to comment on briefly. I'm kind of on the outside of the solid stuff. You're talking about bringing things to the curb and collecting them and recycling and whatnot. There's another waste stream that's already collected every day. It's already sent to process every day, and it's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. And that's heat energy and wastewater. And technology does exist to pull that heat out of that wastewater and capture it and reuse it.
Great. One thing I would like to just put on the table, and maybe if we can bring that back over here to Björgvin, is the mayor in his remarks, he opened up and talked about the role of communities and equity. If you could, maybe talk a little bit in terms of the role of energy or district energy and what you're seeing in the Minneapolis project and how that is both scalable and applicable.
First and foremost, to put it in perspective with community, so instead of just providing the technologies, we have a very massive program here, which is we have a restorative city standard. This one has the goals and the benchmarks of a restorative city. And then we have an insights program to support it. And this is the mechanism basically for NGOs, nonprofits, to give them a really purposeful tool to work with to carry out their agendas. The closed loop systems, this is economic resilience altogether. It starts with anaerobic digestion. But there are different needs in every market. Minneapolis they have a decent economy. It's a green city. It's not more than that. It's not Hammarby in Sweden, you know. It's not eco-districts in Portland, but they want to be. But we can be much better than that. And other places we're working in approaches from more of an economic development standpoint. San Francisco is looking at it more for mobility. They want the hydrogen infrastructure. The way it relates to people, it's job resilience. This energy grid that we create, the cost is upfront. Maintaining the equipment is when we need to upgrade it. That's business as usual. That's products that have now gone through the early stages, and they are going to be roughly half price next time we need to upgrade. So if you can look at it, energy prices do not have to go up ever after. Our plans count in inflation, but that's about it. So this is attractive for people and brings in business.
You know, we're talking about anaerobic digestion, wastewater plants, Alcosan. One of the things the Water Environment Federation is rolling out and trying to educate the public on is that wastewater facilities now are really water recovery resource facilities. And what I mean by that is this: instead of expending energy to process the waste, you can now create energy from that waste and run your facilities with it, running at a lower cost, getting a better reduction in the waste, and actually having a cleaner waste on the end that usually is used as fertilizer and other things. So it's a completely green type system that helps places become more sustainable. So just wanted to.
Can I say about? Let's go to Mel, and then we're going to work our way across. I want to get to Doug also, and then to Volker.
NACWA represents the largest of the wastewater treatment plants in America, of which Alcosan is one. And they came out with a publication along with U.S. EPA that says that 3% of the total electric consumed in America is consumed by wastewater treatment plants. However, converted biologically to biomethane, or biogas and biomethane, it would represent 12% of our total electric consumed in America from the same wastewater treatment plants. This is big stuff. City of, I saw the mayor proposed his budget. It's around $500 million. Wonder what the percentage of motor vehicle fuel is of that budget. It's probably significant. And the maintenance and carbon and air emission pollution and so forth, and then I'll try not to talk again today. People do what you inspect, not what you expect. So it's incumbent upon us to design programs that make them more cognizant. And I'm done. Thanks.
Great. Can we get Doug's reaction? Doug's with Alcosan, and be interesting. We've heard wastewater talked to a couple times, and also water recovery. Maybe if you can explain a little bit about currently what Alcosan is doing, which is a lot, and just enlighten folks there about some of those opportunities.
Absolutely, Grant. Alcosan has been brought up many times throughout the course of the discussion today. Not only regionally are we getting ready to spend billions of dollars to deal with a wet weather issue, we're challenged at the plant daily to remove large amounts of pollutants from the waste stream. For those of you that don't know, we are the municipal wastewater treatment facility for the City of Pittsburgh and 83 other municipalities within Allegheny County. On average, we process about 200 million gallons per day. Maximum capacity is about 250 million gallons per day. Of that annually, we remove 115,000 tons per year of some pollutant stream coming down at the end of the pipe. Some of those pollutants are smaller in nature. Those are screenings, 150 tons per year of screenings. That's coarse material. That's typically pollutants that make their way from combined collection systems, runoff from streets, leaves in the fall, 2-liter bottles, basketballs, whatever you think can go down in a street store, makes its way into the pipe. When it gets into the pipe, we have to find some way to get rid of that. So coarse screening is the initial part of the process. As we remove all of the pollutants, we're always challenged to find some beneficial reuse for those pollutants. If we can't find it, we're landfilling it. Screenings, we've never really found any beneficial reuse for any of those screenings. So in a lot of cases, we don't have any other alternative at this point in time other than to landfill it. Beyond coarse screening, a lot of the non-organic material, we call it grit, rocks, stones, sellable material, non-components of the human waste. You're talking 1,600 tons per year of grit. Very little to no beneficial reuse we've been able to find with it. As was mentioned, we do have an incineration process. We've attempted to utilize that as a supplemental bed material. Again, something to offset the landfilling cost. So beyond those two pollutants, the largest pollutant that we remove clearly is the human waste. So we're talking 110,000 tons per year of human waste that we remove. And we have centrifuge dewatering. So the product that we produce is a cake sludge product. It's about 30 to 32% solids content. The majority of it is water. We are challenged and have been, and we have a multifaceted approach to deal with that sludge byproduct. We have on-site incineration, which is the combustion of the byproduct. A significant portion of what we produce annually, the 110,000 tons per year, about half we incinerate. So we combust at temperatures in excess of 1,400 degrees. We recover the heat off of that process. It heats our entire 59-acre facility in the winter. We also have some cogeneration capabilities that we're able to generate electricity as a result of the steam being produced as well. About half of what we produce, we incinerate. The other byproduct of incineration is ash. Very inert byproduct, about 7,000 tons of ash. So just in the volumetric reduction of what we do, about 55,000 tons of a sludge cake bioproduct reduces to about 7,000 tons of ash for us. We've attempted to find beneficial reuses for the ash as solidification agents, as mixtures for brick, mortar, additives for infield athletic soils. Any way we can find some way, we would give it to folks if there was an interest in taking the amounts. Because again, the other disposal option for it is to landfill. Our other alternative, which is about a 50-50 mix, is that we take our sludge cake byproduct, blend it in with lime, pebble lime, to increase the pH above 12. That makes it into a Class B byproduct, which we either landfill or we end up land applying primarily in the state of Ohio as a fertilizer for feed crop. Over the past, and I've been with the authority for pretty close to 20 years, I can't tell you how much interest there has been in the past 4 or 5 years in human solid waste as more of a resource than a disposal option that nobody really is challenged to deal with. So we have plans to attempt to deal with the biosolids strategic planning of what Elkasan does the next decade and beyond. And we've been approached by many folks, Quasar included, to try to deal with the handling of the solid waste. We've always done a multifaceted approach as landfilling sites become less and less available, as land application sites are difficult to get to in the winter, and as incinerator regulations changed. There are days in the winter when the incinerator is down that it's good to be able to send it all off-site because it's coming to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not necessarily sitting at the curbside waiting for somebody to pick it up. So as fast as that solid waste and waste material is making its way into the plant, we have to find viable disposal options for that. But there are a variety of options that have been proposed that are interesting, unique. I think economically we'll be challenged to evaluate those, but having a variety of disposal options at our hands certainly allows me to sleep well at night.
Thanks. The other piece, maybe to Volker, you had a question? You know, one of the things we'd like to put the focus on is, you know, what are some of the opportunities for the city of Pittsburgh, whether it's with regards to collection improvements or with the opportunities to initiate an energy generation or fuel generation system? Like, how do we get this started? Like, what is the first steps beyond this type of roundtable conversation? Maybe if we can give some thought to that.
And that's a very good question, because that's what I want to address. And that is, would it be of interest, and would everybody be willing to do that, to look at Carnegie Mellon's plan for the campus extension and to see how that new development, which is going to cost something like $500 million by the time it's done, if it's that little, would be net water runoff, net sewage in the system as an overall system, but in a distributed and cogeneration oriented, very energy environmentally effective, and how it relates to the business school, how it relates to the social science school, how it relates to engineering, how it relates to architecture, the arts, and so on, right? And I'm fortunate to say Carnegie Mellon has hired very good architects and engineers, but they also have enormous challenges, economic and otherwise, right? And the decision-making processes that we could address would really be a very important opportunity. If there is a vote on this, would you be willing to come to a meeting that maybe our president, Carnegie Mellon's president, could call for, and see what actually is going on right now and how that relates to your business and insights in terms of your future-oriented developments? So can I see a show of hands who would be coming to something like that? Yeah? Everybody, or just, I didn't? I'm sorry?
We'll bring a system to that meeting.
Yeah, well, but you know, when I say that to our president, he wants to know that there is a response, okay? Yeah, so that's good, thank you.
I want to address your concern about equity at the beginning, because I think this is something that we can recognize when we're looking for possible pilot locations. There are food deserts in Pittsburgh, and we tend to not talk about it and not think about it because we're an affluent, wonderful city. But maybe this is an opportunity to work with a community where a food desert solution might be part of the mix. Oh, you want it?
Yeah. I wanted to mention about, because you said about how it relates to the city, and I know one of these conversations that's been near and dear to all of us are the bag program and the recycling. I mean, first of all, I want to commend the city. They've done a wonderful job with their education and outreach and expanding the program, and while maintaining the quality of materials that we can recover, they do a pretty admirable job relative to a lot of the other cities that I see, you know, in my capacity. But as a MRF, obviously, I'm going to be your strongest supporter, because if we can convert to a loose container system, it helps our throughput, it helps the recoverability. And even from the landfill side of our business, those blue bags, people don't realize that, you know, they're my trash. So they come to me, I have to pull that out because I can't recover that film through the system. So as that comes through, that goes to the landfill. As it hits the landfill, that becomes the blow around and the litter control that we have to work so hard as a landfill to control. We have to employ many, many people to try to keep and control that. And anybody who's ever inspected a landfill would tell you immediately that that's one of the biggest challenges in the litter control, are the blue bags that fly around. So clearly, from where we sit as a company, we would love to see some sort of an eventual conversion. We understand that there's a lot of challenges involved in that, but we applaud your efforts in trying to explore options, and we understand the difficulty, but we really commend you in the fact that you're looking into it.
Scott, could you talk a little bit about the back end of the recycling operation in terms of the materials that you produce through your process? Where do they go? And I asked that question basically from a manufacturing standpoint. We heard earlier a little bit about the closed loop fund and some of the opportunities that they provide, which are really driven from a manufacturing standpoint with regards to getting more recyclable material into the manufacturing stream. Can you address that?
Well, the recyclables that we recover are predominantly what you produce, you know, in residential generation. You know, your cardboards, your newsprint, mixed paper, which now is becoming more dominant even than the newsprint, because so much paper is exported these days, because that's where the demand is for the fiber. It's difficult to find domestic outlets for paper anymore. Most of our paper from here is exported. There are a lot of domestic outlets for your plastic materials. You know, your aluminums, obviously, your tins, those types of materials are recoverable locally, same with your glass products. We sort through a series of separation techniques, usually a screen on the front side where it's sizing out of the front side. The back side is more technologically advanced with optical scanners to separate some of the plastic grades and some of that material in eddy currents for the aluminum. and magnets for the tin. That's some of the challenges that we're presented with some of this packaging, though. If we can focus on materials that are recoverable through our processes, and that's why I keep emphasizing that when I have these opportunities to portray that, because if manufacturers give more consideration to what we can pull back out of the system, the recoverability is much greater. One of the challenges that we're faced with right now as an industry in recycling is producing a product that is desirable for the end users. And one of the challenges that we're starting to find out is because there's a lot of desire to expand what we accept into the MRF and these new packagings, a lot of that material becomes a contaminant for other products. Things like bottle caps, straws, plastic cutlery, small shredded paper that's loose in those streams. Those are materials that basically we can't recover. They fall through and contaminate another product because the system is designed to pull that material out. Plus, our system is designed to sort recyclables from recyclables. So it's become very difficult, especially through the global channels, through the export markets. We're really tasked with producing a much better quality, and as a company, Waste Management has invested heavily in new programs and education outlets to try to help support that effort, to try to more universalize that message and make it a little bit more understandable on what truly is recoverable through our infrastructure, our investment that we have, so that we can try to pull a higher percentage of that material back out. Hope that. Yeah.
There is a considerable amount of waste or recycling residuals that we utilize in our process, in our gasification process. So anything that you're producing out of the back end of the MRF that cannot be recovered, we will take and turn into energy. Same with sewage sludge and so on and so forth. We can use that and create energy. Therefore, you have a zero landfilling application that would be present here in the city and elsewhere. So looking at that, there's always waste. And with a mobile unit or a stationary unit, the systems can be moved around at different locations and create those efficiencies that are needed in the whole ecological infrastructure that we have to build around waste management and energy.
Just one question, I guess, Jay or Mel, I mean, could you guys address a little bit about the offtake in terms of just selfishly municipal uses, whether it's electricity or biogas for a fleet, in terms of delivery from one of your facilities to a potential application, how that works?
Sure. You want to go first, Michael?
First of all, when we upgrade the gas from biogas to biomethane, we're approved with Dominion anywhere in their pipeline to put it on. So transportation is the most efficient means of moving energy, more so than electric because you don't have the line loss and so forth. Second, of course, two of our facilities are RIN certified, meaning that we get a stipend from the federal government for the next 7.5 years of about 50 cents a gallon. So it encouraged us to build more facilities and so forth. The third is that it's the highest value proposition for the energy we produce, motor vehicle fuel. It's hard for us to sell 7-cent electric for 10 cents, but it's pretty easy for us to sell $4 fuel for $2, which is the result of this. And I can tell you, we have 30-some vehicles in our fleet that are operating on CNG, and it's made us a whole lot more competitive. It's like Waste Management's done. I mean, you guys are top of the food chain when it comes to saving costs, cutting costs, and providing a better environment for your customer base because of what you did with CNG.
On the power side, and what we do in our economic model, as I mentioned, we look for our ROIs 5 years and below. So we're able to determine via the unit economic analysis that we're able to take, say, 40 tons a day and be able to convert that into electricity and be able to put it on the grid on site or near site a facility. Therefore, you don't have the line loss. You're powering that community or that facility right there. And so the offtakes become very attractive, and economics are also attractive as well. Inclusive.
I was just going to comment on some of the materials that are ending up at the MRFs and that are not recoverable. I mean, that is going back to the education piece and making sure people understand what goes into the container and what doesn't. And then on the back side of it, I mean, you know, where it goes, I know from our company's perspective, we do partner with a lot of local MRFs to capture that material that we can reuse in our products, and it does help to completely close the loop. So would be interested in learning more about how we could capture that material for our Erie facility. So.
Any other comments around the table? Back to Bill. We'll get the long reach here.
First of all, Scott, thanks for the comments earlier about the recycling program. But, you know, we realize we have a long way to go for improvements for the City of Pittsburgh. And I think a couple of those that we have discussed are the containers. We realize that they are an issue going forward. Also, I think that we would love to get to a once-a-week recycling program. Although, if you study the programs for recycling, a lot of cities are every other week. But I believe also the more convenient you make it for people, the less they have to store it, the more they are going to recycle. But there's a capital issue associated with that as well when you try to go to every other week or every week from an every other week program, and that's what we struggle with. If we
May I say something?
hold on, let me.
On that point, I want to say just on that point. On the 20th of November, we have the sustainability officer of Ludwigsburg coming here, and this question that you have, he can address. And I think it would be very important to learn about what other people are doing, and this is why when Mayor Bill Peduto was in Ludwigsburg, we talked about these things, how we can help each other to learn what they have experienced over 20, 30 years doing that container system.
And we certainly will welcome that. Any expertise in that field, we always want to listen to see how we can improve things. You know, our goal from an operations standpoint is we run 34 refuse routes in the city. Our goal would be realistically, we would like to run 25 and maybe increase our collection as far as the recycling is concerned. And another reason for that, transportation is another issue. We are strapped on the refuse side that we can only put so much refuse on a truck and run legally. So I would love to be able to decrease that tonnage so that we don't have to worry about running with a truck that's illegal on the highway. And the way to do that is to reduce the amount of trash that we are generating in the City of Pittsburgh now.
We'll go to Lisa, and then we'll work back over here to Dustin. And then I'll have some final remarks.
Thank you, Bill. I would agree with Bill on the transportation component. We already have an every other week recycling program in place, so the easiest to convert to a cart system and continue to do an every other week is still going to create great benefit for increased recycling here. So to have to push for weekly is not necessarily something that needs to be taken into consideration right away, but you could easily implement a short-term solution to have a better benefit.
Thanks.
Just finally, Bill, for you, we see a lot of cities now today actually shrinking the size of trash container that they offer to the residents and providing larger containers for recycling. So by doing that and going to an automated system and limiting the amount of waste material that gets put out on the curb, that you'll start to see that your reduction of waste will happen as you're kind of what you're looking to do there. So that's one way that a lot of cities, you know, handle it. And some will always go with like a pay-as-you-throw program, whether you pay a certain rate for the smaller container, and then as you get a larger container, you're going to be paying more. So those are some things that can complement a curbside recycling program and help to keep, you know, the volume of waste down and increase the overall recyclables at the curb. People have looked at it.
Great. We'll end where we began with the microphone in your hand. I'd once again like to thank everyone for your attendance and for lending to this important conversation. I mean, just to kind of recapture briefly some of the conversation, we learned a lot today. I think really about the opportunities to enhance and improve upon the strides that we've made with regards to collection and container systems, the opportunities to integrate energy and new fuel options into our fleets, both municipally as well as within the private sector. Also, the possibilities of pilot locations where district energy can integrate with new neighborhood development from a regenerative standpoint, not just a sustainable standpoint. And then also some new opportunities with regards to how we can improve capital and logistics in terms of developing and deploying new systems that can improve our waste stream as well as our energy and economic opportunity. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for being here today. I'd like to thank our team here at the City of Pittsburgh, our cable team, Alex and David, for your fine work. Claire Goodwin, for your work to help us pull this together. Tara, also thank you for keeping copious notes that we will be pulling together for everyone to put together a brief summary document, which in the next couple weeks will be distributed to all of you so that we can continue this dialogue and pick up on some of the next steps that will be generated. Also, David and his team will be pulling together both a production that will be airing on the Pittsburgh cable channel, so say hello to all your friends and family here, but also be able to be distributed on YouTube so that you could share with your colleagues. So thank you to them for putting that together. So thanks once again, and we'll continue the conversation.